I can name 3 reasons why Biden is a joke.
Give me 3 reasons why Trump is better than Biden. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want to know if you're actually talking and you're not just a bot
Okay,
repeating
first
shit.
of all, what happened with abortion is ridiculous. You should not be able to tell a woman what to do with her body. That's first of all. That's a woman's body.
You think?
Yeah, why are we doing this right now? We're on stream.
You're so brain dead. You're so brain dead.
All right, Josh, do you have a sister? Do you have a sister?
Yeah, I have a sister, bro.
Okay.
Wait, you think Biden was the one that wanted abortion to be? That's what you think? That's how that works.
He's a president. He can, you know what I'm saying? He can fucking not ban it. What do you mean?
All right, bro.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear.
I, Harry S. Truman, do solemnly swear.
I, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, do solemnly swear.
The President of the United States is seen as the most powerful person in the world. They have command of the world's most expensive military, represent the world's largest economy, and have tremendous global influence due to their bully pulpit. These features grant the office holder the title Leader of the Free World. The office of the President seems omnipotent, and many political commentators worry that its power is growing too large, the so-called imperial presidency. But if you look a little closer, you start to realize that the oh-so-coveted office of power bestows upon its occupant a curse.
President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Moments ago, there were shots fired just as President Reagan emerged from the Washington Hilton Hotel today after delivering a speech.
Breaking news. There has been an incident at Donald Trump's Pennsylvania rally. It appears shots have apparently been fired and Donald Trump has been injured.
Yes, it's true. 1 out of every 6 presidents dies in office. We've had 8. 4 assassinations, 4 natural causes. The office also ages its occupant at a breakneck pace. These could both be considered curses, but it's not the curse I'm going to be talking about today. To put it simply, the curse of the president is that they are held responsible for too much for which they have too little control. Take the economy.
Stay focused. Talk about things that matter to people. You know? It's the economy, stupid. Okay?
The economy is always the most important factor in an election. If the voters think you're good for the economy, you get to live in the White House. Ever since the pandemic, inflation has rocked the globe. The economic anxiety caused by inflation toppled incumbent governments all over the world, including in America. Biden's failure to curb inflation contributed to his stubborn unpopularity and Harris's loss to Trump. Biden failed on the economy, is what we are often told. But the real question is, did he fail, or was he failed? There is really no consensus among economists over what caused the really bad inflation that's been going on this decade. Some say it's factors like supply chain disruptions that occurred after we reopened the economy. Others argue that it's a lack of competition and corporate price gouging that played a key role. It's time we acknowledge America is a free market economy. The government is largely hands-off in how it operates. A lot of this had very little to do with the president's actions. But it was government spending, one might interject. During COVID, the US government printed trillions of new dollars to stimulate the economy. Printing too much money causes inflation. Boom, it's the president's fault. Well, yes, but no. This is when we acknowledge Congress exists. The Constitution grants Congress, not the president, the power to coin money and the power to spend money. These large stimulus packages, worth trillions of dollars, were drafted by hundreds of members of Congress alongside the president, who gives final approval. Both Trump and Biden did this, but it was also the hundreds of members of the US Congress. America also has a central bank, the Federal Reserve, a quasi-governmental institution that exercises significant control over the money supply. Yeah, the president appoints the chair of the Federal Reserve, but he or she cannot fire them. They operate totally independently. And then there are some things that are totally outside of any part of the government's scope. The spike in egg prices at the start of 2025, that was the result of a bird flu epidemic. Which, sure, policies can control and prevent those, but blaming it all on Trump, who literally just became president again, is kind of silly. Just like it's silly to blame high gas prices on Biden. Just like it's silly to blame the housing market crash on Bush. Just like it was silly to blame Katrina on Bush. Just like it was silly to blame the COVID recession on Trump. It was either we had a recession or we had even more deaths. You can't have it both ways. So why does the president get so much blame? There are two reasons. The first is that they like to take credit when things go well.
We built the greatest economy in the history of the world.
Economic growth is up, stronger than expert expected at 2.9%.
We've seen the fastest economic growth in over a decade. Our deficits cut by 2/3, a stock market that has doubled.
Since the end of the Cold War in 1989, America has created about 51 million new jobs. What's the score? Democrats 50, Republicans 1.
This is a problem they create for themselves. The reality is the link between the strength of the economy and the actions of the president varies significantly depending on the case. But presidents often like to take blanket credit when times are good. Since they take credit for good times, voters tend to place blame on them for the bad times. The second reason? The president is the most visible person in government. The president gets endless media attention. They are a character of pop culture. They are at the center of American politics. And in the Trump era, American politics became mainstream pop culture, further increasing the president's visibility. Thus, people tend to put the state of the country on the president, regardless of how responsible they actually are for it. And so, you get things like this.
Wait, you think Biden was the one that wanted abortion to be... That's what you think? That's how that works?
He's a president. He can, you know what I'm saying? He can fucking not ban it. What do you mean?
All right, bro.
When candidates run for president, they are so often asked this one question: what will you do? But there's an inherent problem with asking this question. The president is not a king. They are not technically supposed to be in charge of legislating policy. And yet, since they are the head of government, they are often seen as the appropriate authority to draft new laws. But this is not really the case. The Founding Fathers intended a system in which the people who wrote the laws were to be separate from those who enforce them. It's pretty safe to say that this project was a total failure. Everyone now looks to the president for policy proposals. Presidential candidates are asked about policy, but the problem is when it comes to actually implementing their policy, presidents often fail, not because of incompetence, but because the system wasn't designed for them to have strong input on the front end. Harry Truman had a motto: "The buck stops here." It's a powerful phrase that the president always assumes responsibility. But this badass saying perpetuates the myth. You see, the real wielder of power is Congress. We see this in the Constitution. This is how much the Constitution talks about the president. This is how much it talks about Congress. They make the laws. They declare war, or are supposed to. They decide who to tax. But nobody really puts the blame on them. Sure, Congress is really unpopular, but people tend to like their own representative. They're not the problem, it's everyone else. And Congress is never seen as the leader, the one whose shoulders all of this ultimately falls on. I think this is because Congress is a faceless institution. The president is an individual that people can personally connect to. Congress gets all the power and none of the responsibility. Presidents get very little power and all of the responsibility. Barack Obama considers his failure to pass gun reform as his biggest disappointment as president. After the horrific mass shooting of first graders at Sandy Hook Elementary School, the president was adamant on new gun laws to prevent these kinds of things from ever happening again.
In the hard days to come, that community needs us to be at our best as Americans, and I will do everything in my power as president to help.
The president, not being in control of legislation, had to rely on his Democratic colleagues in Congress to shape new gun policy. But the problem was that Republicans controlled the House of Representatives, and every bill that became law had to go through them. Additionally, even though Democrats controlled the Senate's filibuster rule made it so that any bill needed 60 votes to pass, which means that at least a handful of Senate Republicans would need to approve of the bill. This did not happen. The Senate killed the bill. Even if we got rid of the filibuster rule and it passed the Senate, Republicans could simply just not put it up for a vote in the House. It's not that I'm against compromise and I don't want the president and Congress to work together, it's just that Congress can simply ignore and refuse to engage with the president's agenda. The president, as powerful as he was unable to enact a popular, common-sense policy, and yet is still expected to have policies in the first place. Not because he was incompetent, but because he didn't have the power.
This was a pretty shameful day for Washington.
9 out of 10 Americans were with you on that one.
They were.
And you couldn't get it done. Did that tell you about, as powerful as this job is, the limits of your power?
Yeah, well, I taught constitutional law right down the street at the University of Chicago, and you're
living it.
The founders deliberately set up a system that separates powers. On the other hand, when basic civility and sort of compromise breaks down, the system can get really stuck.
This kind of stuff happens all the time. Biden had a laundry list of progressive policies he ran on, that voters elected him to enact, that voters expected him to enact. But under our system, policy isn't really the president's job. It's Congress's job. The president just gets final say, which sure is a lot, but it's really the beginning stages of policymaking where the broad strokes are laid out. A handful of Democrats in Congress, Democrats who didn't have the clout or power or popularity or notoriety or mandate as Biden, halted a lot of his promises from becoming law. Oftentimes, promises made by the president, promises that the people voted for, never even get voted on by Congress. This is the curse. Even if the president wants to fix something, promises to fix something, gets elected to fix something, there is no guarantee that they will actually be able to do it. Not because their policies wouldn't work, but rather because the system doesn't allow them to even happen. It makes the election meaningless. The whole of society looks to the president to fix things, but the president can do very little to fix anything. And what do we get? Performative executive orders that don't do much, that whittle around the edges, that don't really affect people or touch people the same way an act of Congress would. This is why presidents have a honeymoon phase and their popularity quickly fades out as they're unable to achieve most of the stuff that they promised. And this is why our country always goes back and forth from Democrat to Republican. The leader doesn't have the tools to lead, people blame them for failing, the opposition party is swept into power by riding off of the backlash, and yet they fail too. We're seeing this right now. Biden failed to quell inflation, voters expected him to. Trump got elected promising to end inflation. He can't actually end it. Inflation persists, and he becomes more unpopular. It's a vicious cycle that never ends. Presidents are seen as failures not because they failed to act, but because they couldn't act. How could they act? What can they do?
Oh, the burdens, Why did the financial collapse have to happen on my watch? It's just pathetic, isn't it? Self-pity.
The office holder is cursed with the stress and pressure and responsibility of needing to do stuff, of wanting to do stuff, of having to fix stuff, but not being able to actually fix anything, at least not in any meaningful way. How can we fix this? Well, one way is to change the way we view the president. Not some all-powerful king, not even the head of the government, just the head of one part of the government. The part of the government that doesn't even make the rules. The president was supposed to just be an administrator, someone who does the boring pencil pushing of actually hiring government workers, managing government workers, but not dictating policy. There is, of course, one notable exception to this. Foreign policy, which the president has near total control over. And this is the one place where the president has way too much power, as recent events show us. Maybe we should encourage the media to give more attention to leaders in Congress, where the real power lies. Maybe. But this is slightly unrealistic. Obviously, the president isn't a king, but we should have one person in charge of the general legislative vision of the country, and the best person for that is the president, because they're the only person whom the entire country picks. They run on a national agenda. Individual members of Congress are too focused on local issues, and not any one of them, including the speaker, or even collectively together, could claim to have a mandate for the entire country. Many people still vote for their congressperson and senator for local reasons, not national ones. The president is the only person who can claim to have a democratic mandate for the entire country. So how do we make it so they can actually do stuff? Here's my solution. Make it so that the president has the power to do two things. 1. Independently introduce new bills into Congress, and 2. Force both houses to vote on the bills he produces. The president can exercise this power up to 10 times a year. This way, presidents don't have to wait on Congress to enact their agenda. There is so much that Biden promised that never even got a floor vote in Congress. With this change, Biden could simply force Congress to address his agenda. They can either vote yes or no, and if it fails, he can tell the people, look, I tried to fix it. I know you wanted me to fix it, but Congress voted no. Go be mad at them. This could help break the curse. It would lead to 3 positive outcomes. 1. People would finally begin to conceptualize and differentiate what's the president's fault and what's Congress's fault. 2. The president would have more opportunities and more power to enact the agenda that they were elected on without being made a king. And we still keep checks and balances. And 3, more stuff would actually get done, as Congress would be forced into public scrutiny on items of the president's agenda that otherwise could be hidden or killed in committees quietly and with little fanfare from the press. I know in the midst of Trump's gross abuses of power, wanting the president to have more power seems tone-deaf, but this isn't about cracking down on civil liberties or starting more illegal wars. It's about upholding democracy and ensuring that the will of the people is actually enacted. If we free the presidency of its curse, we might finally be able to free ourselves from decades of idle government. Thanks for watching. Hi everyone, if you like my videos and want to see more, please subscribe. If you want to support my work, please consider becoming a member of my Patreon or Ko-Fi page. Ko-Fi also allows you to give a one-time tip. Thank you to all my patrons whose names are now on screen. I'd like to give a special shout out to my Hamiltonian supporters, the Engineering Potato, Tim Spot, Median, A Seamate, and Poison Geordie. I'd also like to thank all my current subscribers for helping me reach 40,000. Let's try to get to 50,000. I hope you all like the new format I'm trying out for theory videos. Don't worry, Progressive Primers isn't going away. Additionally, the third and final installment of Warhawks of Mass Destruction is about halfway done in the editing process. My New Year's resolution is to upload more frequently, but that's going to be hard to do without sacrificing quality. If you just can't get enough of me for some reason, 1, you need help, and 2, you can follow me on Twitter for more takes, @TheHadiRahim. Until then, see you next time, and thanks again for watching.